Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Leslie Hollingsworth, and on behalf of the Alumni Association Board, it is my pleasure as the president of the Alumni Association Board to welcome you to the annual Trinity University Alumni Awards Luncheon. And I personally cannot think of a better way to get our mind off the election crazies than spending an hour or so today honoring some of Trinity's best. So, and we are so pleased that so many of our trustees, our administrators, faculty, staff, students, family, guests are here today as we recognize our two awardees. Susan Todd, class of 2005, our outstanding young alumna, and Amy Turlington Chambers, class of 1989, the Greek Alumni Advisor of the Year, and a fellow Zeta Chi. And where is my Zeta Chi's? Are you? Yes, thank you. So we all know that Trinity University offers a transformational education for talented students today. And Trinity prepares its students to be adaptive, successful adults through academic programs that cultivate both intellectual focus and civic engagement. So it should be of no surprise that we recognize these two graduates who display these same characteristics. We're especially proud to be able to claim both of these extraordinary people as alumni of this institution and are gratified by the example that they set for our students today. So now, before we begin lunch, I'd like to recognize a few of the important people here with us this afternoon. And then following lunch, we'll begin our program. So Dr. Danny Anderson, Trinity's president. We also have Trinity President Emeritus, Ron Calgard. All right, Trinity Board Trustee Member, Tress Kleber. And Dr. Rich Butler, Professor Emeritus in Economics. Susan Todd, class of 2005, our outstanding young alumna. And Amy Turlington Chambers, class of 89, our Greek Alumni Advisor of the Year. Now, along with Amy, we have Sam Chambers, her husband. And, very important, Don and Georgianne Turlington, Amy's parents. Thank you all for being here. So, Reverend Nickel, will you please come to the podium and give our invocation?
Let us lift up our hearts in prayer. Gracious God, this is an amazing day, an exciting day for so very many reasons. And yet we calm ourselves and remember that you plant within each of us seeds of bold hope, which blossom and bear the fruit of empathy, of passionate creativity and diligence, as you transform us into agents of your grace and stewards of the beauty of your creation. We celebrate that transformation today. We celebrate the passion and excellence and renewing vision of your servants, Susan Todd and Amy Turlington Chambers, two of Trinity's own. We lift up thanks for them and the paths they have journeyed thus far, serving human communities, mentoring their charges, evoking the best from others that all might flourish. May their examples be for us all an inspiration and a challenge to cultivate the bold hope planted within each of us, that the particular calling that claims us might bear good, wholesome fruit through which the world's hunger might be fed. By your grace, may it be so. Now bless this food and our fellowship, we pray, and let all God's children say, amen.
Okay, everyone, I'm going to start our program. But continue, please, to continue eating, or please continue eating. I want to first recognize the Alumni Association board members present this evening or this afternoon. If you could please raise your hands if you're on our National Alumni Board. Mary, Amy, thank you, me. It's a committee of this board that goes through all our fabulous award nominations to find just the right alumni to honor. So I want to thank you all for your commitment and your service. I also want to have all the students that are in attendance with us today, please raise your hands. Couple of things. A, I want to thank you all for taking time out of your busy, busy days to join us with today as we recognize some of our alumni, and I hope that it may inspire you to see what your future could be. You could be up here in a few years speaking to a room full of alumni, or you could be one of our fabulous award recipients. There's so many things that a Trinity education can afford you. And I also want to thank a trustee who's not here today, Herb Sternberg, for generously funding a table for students each and every year at our Alumni Awards Luncheon. So we are so proud to honor two remarkable alumni. The Outstanding Young Alumni Award was established to honor Trinity alumni who have graduated in the last 15 years. And we select alumni who have distinguished themselves both in their professional life and in service to their community, setting a standard of excellence worthy of recognition by the Alumni Association and the university. The Greek Alumni Advisor of the Year was created just 2 years ago to honor an alumnus whose outstanding service in an advisory capacity to a Trinity University fraternity or sorority showcases a dedication in developing and guiding young men and women to success. So to introduce our first honoree, Susan Todd, with the Outstanding Young Alumna Award, it is my pleasure to call to the podium Dr. Rich Butler, Professor Emeritus in Economics.
Thank you, Leslie. It's a real pleasure to be here, and it's a privilege for me to introduce my friend and former student, Susan Todd, from the class of 2005. She's a remarkable person who richly deserves this honor. Susan is the executive director of 504 HealthNet, a partnership of 23 nonprofit and governmental organizations in the greater New Orleans area. They provide primary care or behavioral health services in a community setting with a special focus on low-income, uninsured populations. Now, what's really remarkable about this is that she was named to this position before her 30th birthday. Now, I know how rare that is because I've worked in the public-private partnership world, and generally it's the case that you only acquire the political and diplomatic skills necessary to manage a partnership like that when you've also acquired a great deal of gray hair. So it really is quite remarkable. One of Susan's biggest responsibilities was to build the organization. When she became the executive director, that was a part-time job. Now she not only works full-time, but has 2.5 additional staff members. She's also become a prominent spokesman on health issues at both the state and local levels. Her accomplishments won her recognition last year as one of New Orleans' top 40 under 40. Susan has led a remarkably full and varied life in the decades since she graduated from Trinity. First, she worked for NASA as a scuba diver, assisting in spacewalk training for astronauts. Perfect post-college job. Seeking something different, she then spent a year teaching English in Argentina before earning her master's degree from the Lyndon B. Johnson School of Public Affairs at the University of Texas in Austin. It was at LBJ that she discovered a passion for health policy. But alas, there was no health policy job to be found when she graduated, so Susan signed on as an analyst in the Inspector General's office at the U.S. Department of Transportation, where her principal responsibility was the politically sensitive task of analyzing the Cash for Clunkers program. And she's still smiling. She soon moved on to the office of the Assistant Secretary for Planning and Evaluation at the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, where she was the youngest member of the professional staff. While she was there, she worked on Medicaid, CHIP, and marketplace enrollment and financing issues, conducted research and analysis for health reform implementation, and participated as a core team member in the White House initiative, Strong Cities, Strong Communities. Through that initiative, Susan assisted the New Orleans Public Health Department with its healthcare access plan and additional projects. This led to a position at the Louisiana Public Health Institute, assisting in designing and implementing a grant program, which led in turn to her current position with 504 HealthNet. I think it would be fair to say that Susan has truly made the most of the broad liberal arts education she received at Trinity. Not only has she led an interesting life, She's accomplished much more than most of her peers in the short time since she graduated. I think that her achievements matter all the more because they've been in the service of others. The healthcare system in Greater New Orleans was devastated by Hurricane Katrina and had to be rebuilt from the ground up. Susan's role at 504 HealthNet has truly been to lead the reinvention of primary care, especially for those of limited means. Previously, in New Orleans, the poor typically received all their medical care at the emergency room of one large, very mediocre public hospital. Today, they receive their primary care in clinic settings close to where they live and have the opportunity to build lasting doctor-patient relationships. Susan has, in short, led transformational change that has made thousands of lives better. Susan is recognized as a strong leader in the community and for all the right reasons. She's one of those alumni who really make Trinity look good. And without a doubt, there's much more to come. Susan, congratulations.
So it is my honor as president to be able to present to you the award for the 2016-2017 Young Alumni. For those who cannot see it, sitting on the table in front of Susan, there's a crystal obelisk that is a remembrance of today. We want you to know that the phrase that Richard said in terms of our being proud of you, that is truly felt. People have great pride when they watch someone from Trinity leave and accomplish the kind of things that you've done. And so I also want to read what is stated on the citation that is what came forward from the Alumni Association. So this is Susan Todd, class of 2005, for applying her expertise in health policy to expanding and improving primary care access, especially for those of limited means, for her contributions to the White House initiative, Strong Cities, Strong Communities, for her significant role in reinventing and strengthening health systems in New Orleans post-Katrina, for her outstanding leadership of 504 HealthNet, for her prominence as a spokesperson for health issues at the state and local levels, for exemplifying the ideals of a liberal arts education, and for the honor and distinction she brings to her alma mater. Congratulations.
Thank you. I really appreciate it, and thank you for your kind words, Dr. Butler. And thank everyone for their time today. So it's been wonderful to be back on campus and to visit with students and professors and staff. And Dr. Butler, I cannot thank you enough for all of your support. You, throughout the years, have given a lot of your time, and it has meant a lot to me. It's because of you that I have honestly been able to achieve the things that I have, and that my life has gone in the direction that it has. And I am very grateful for that. You have always made the time to patiently listen to me whenever I might have a question or try to glean insight of what do I do with my life, where do I go next. And you know, it has taken a lot. I mean, in the staff here, the faculty, everyone has really contributed to where I am today, and I am so grateful for that, and to be standing here and receive this wonderful award. When I arrived at Trinity, I celebrated my 18th birthday, and I was promptly thrown into the fountain. I don't know if they still do that. Hopefully they do. I still have a scar. Excellent, excellent. You know, like many students here, I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I didn't know what I wanted to major in, but I knew that I wanted to study abroad. That was a key component to what I wanted to do. But I chose to come to Trinity because of its liberal arts approach, because of its small class size, its focus on teaching, its dedication to students, and its dedication to opportunity. And I think that really sets it apart from a number of other universities. I knew that I would not be a number in a large lecture hall, but instead that I would be able to develop relationships with faculty, with staff, with other students that would forever impact my life. And because of Trinity, I have been able to travel, explore, learn, and ultimately launch my career path that has led me to where I am today. I've made lifelong friends and a number of memories. Through my many discussions with Dr. Butler and also Dr. Tetra was very influential, my time here, for those of you who knew her. I did decide on my major, International Studies, and 2 minors, Economics and Spanish. And all of those would help me eventually navigate the streets of both Buenos Aires and Washington, D.C. I decided to complete a semester exchange at American University in peace and conflict resolution studies, and that allowed me to travel through the former Yugoslavia and learn and see first-handedly experiences that I never would have had the opportunity, whether it was bullet holes in buildings from the war or speaking to people who had lived underground, and recognizing how much those actual on-the-ground experiences have allowed me to be diplomatic, to understand where others are coming from, and to take that liberal arts education and really put it into practice. And so having that ability to do those things are just so wonderful, impactful, into where I'm going today. As Dr. Butler mentioned, my first job out of school was what everyone dreams of doing, playing with astronauts and training them. Again, if it hadn't been for Trinity, I never would have had that opportunity. I played water polo here. And so because of playing club water polo, which is something kind of random, and definitely, I think it speaks to the importance of having diversity in club sports and recognizing that in order to be a well-rounded individual, you need lots of little things and not just books and learning and academics, which, yes, are important. But some of the other things can really shape your life and lead you in directions that you had no idea. So while at NASA, I joined the team. I was one of 7 women, and there were 70 people in our division. So that was an interesting experience, to say the least. And now I work in health policy, which is all women and 7 men, but kind of flip-flops there. But while at NASA, we did training where all of the space shuttle and space station, the replicas are underwater. And so you gear up every day in your scuba gear, and you go down and you make sure that the astronauts are doing what they're supposed to be doing. So they are making sure that they're practicing, because the suits are huge, and they weigh like 300 pounds. There's no way you can do this training, on land. And so that's what the replicas are for. And it's, still the most interesting thing about me. Everything else, it's all downhill. But, you can just drink some coffee to stay awake for the rest of this, guys. It gets way more boring. But again, I think just keeping an open mind and open perspective has really led me to have some incredible experiences. And, I never would have had that had it not been for my education and the opportunities that it brought me here. And I'm very grateful for that. Had it not been for the study abroad office and Nancy Erickson, I would not have chosen Salamanca to study abroad in, and I would not have had my next adventure in Buenos Aires, Argentina, where I lived there and taught English and traveled. And she's the reason why I went there. I specifically asked her, okay, if I'm gonna go to South America, where should I go? And didn't skip a beat. She said, Buenos Aires. And I said, I'm going. All right, so I went. And that was a life-shaping experience, and I was able to really develop my Spanish-speaking skills and my ability to navigate the streets, a bus, traveling, meet new people, and again, I think all of these little experiences really lead up and complete your life and lead you on your next adventure. So I came back and went to graduate school, and again, I think actually, I told a student today, nobody from UT mentioned this, but I think grad school was easier than undergrad, and Trinity had prepared me well for that. And so I didn't have to focus on my writing and communication skills. I already had those developed. So I could focus on statistics. I could focus on some additional skills that I needed to round out my portfolio to make me a strong candidate. And when I graduated in 2009, it was the middle of the recession, which was not a great time to graduate. And I did end up landing a job and moving to DC, and it wasn't what I wanted to do at all, but I was happy to have a job. So that actually worked out really well, and I was able to take that skill set and transition into where I really love to do, which is health and health policy. And so taking lessons I've learned and things that I've learned along the way and gained here at Trinity has, again, impacted me going forward. While in DC, I worked for HHS and also worked on the White House initiative, Strong Cities, Strong Communities, and made my way back down to New Orleans. And I'm from Baton Rouge originally, and I was looking for an opportunity to make it a little closer to home, to spend some time with my grandmother, and ended up working my way back. And now I work in the nonprofit sector, which I had no idea I would also be doing, but here I am running a nonprofit, which is both challenging and rewarding, for sure. The devastation from Katrina 10 years ago left New Orleans with an opportunity. 80% of the city flooded, and it was a devastating situation. But out of that, people in the city, in the community, in the state, in the country said, how do we take this as an opportunity? How do we decide, how can we redesign, reimagine, reshape our healthcare system? So prior to the storm, low-income, uninsured residents received care through the flagship hospital called Big Charity. And everyone knew that you could go there and you could get care. Now, you would bring your lunch, you would wait all day, you might be bounced around between different apartments, but you would get care there. And that was very important for the city. But we know that that's not efficient, that's not effective, and it's not the way that we really want people to receive health care. I mean, you were there if you had cancer, a broken arm, or diabetes, or had a cold. So you were sitting there waiting for something that you have a cold, the flu. You just need some Tamiflu. Be on your way. And that's not what we wanted to do. And so looking at how do we redesign healthcare? And so coming together, that's actually how the organization where I work for now was started, was community partners joined together and said, we want to be the policy voice in this redesigning to say, how do we do it better? How do we meet people's needs now, right after the storm, and then continuing? So when the hospital shuttered, we had doctors giving vaccines on the corner of streets. We had, it was kind of crazy. And you look back at it and think about, with the infrastructure devastated, you're in churches, you're outside police precincts, trying to deliver care. And then we moved into a Lord & Taylor building, literally, a department store. And that's where the hospital was, and for the last 10 years. And then the new hospital just opened. But looking at how do we think about, again, that care delivery system that we want to see? And I think that this relates not just particularly to New Orleans, but also nationally, in saying, where are we going to change what we're doing to really focus and emphasize on prevention and primary care and mental health and the whole person? How do we go from switching from this reactive, oh, let's treat you now that you're sick, versus this preventive? How to really do that? So today, 504 HealthNet is a consortium comprised of 23 different organizations operating at 70 different sites and collectively serving 160,000 patients. And so that is a remarkable change from where we were 10 years ago, well, it's a little over 10 years ago, prior to Katrina, where we had 2 health centers. And everyone else was going to Big Charity, would check it downtown. So we now have this network where 52 of these sites are federally qualified health centers, meaning they can't turn anyone away, and that's our central mission. How do we care for everyone in our community? We will take you if you are on Medicaid. We will take you if you are uninsured. We will take you if you have insurance. We will take you too. Yes, please. We'll take those paying customers. Recognizing that we want health centers and health to be at the forefront in conversation, and that people can walk to their community health center or easily take a bus and not have it be such a barrier to care. So we have a number of health centers that focus at-risk youth, homeless, musicians, and they all actually are on electronic medical records, and looking at, majority of them are actually patient-centered medical homes, meaning they're focused on that whole person. However, none of this has been easy. A lot of what our organization has done, and my job has been, is to secure funding and financing for these clinics and for care for patients. Because we know if people are uninsured and delay care, then they just end up in the ER, and it costs us all a lot more, and it's not good for the patients, and no one wins. So how are we rethinking all of this to make sure that we're moving forward in a direction that is higher quality, better outcomes, lower cost? And so fortunately for us, the state expanded Medicaid, and it kind of depends, I know people are on different sides of the political aisle, but I think what this really translates to is that people are able to get the care that they need. We now have 320,000 people enrolled. The program started in July, and that's remarkable. We hear stories about people who are crying when they received full coverage because they now do not have to make the choice between paying their utilities and affording their medication. And that's very powerful. And a lot of these people, they're all working full-time jobs, but if they don't have insurance through their employer, it's completely unaffordable to them. And so if we've built this system where insurance is how you get care, how do we make sure that everyone has insurance? And then we know that we will have people who are still uninsured among us. So how do we still care for these people? How do we make sure that everyone can go see a doctor? We've all needed medical care at some point. And I know that we all can relate to that feeling of being sick and feeling, whether or not it's true, that you're on death's door. So how do we make sure that that is a universal value and truth that we are really committed to, in recognizing that if we're going to be in this community, how are we helping everyone out? And so I know that these are all difficult questions and no one really has the answer, but I think each individual contribution is what's important. And there's also the other side of things, that it's not just about building access, but engaging patients. How are we really engaging people to empower themselves to take control of their lives and to really change behavior? So how are we changing people to be proactive, to invest in primary care in themselves, to say, I am going to go to my doctor regularly, take my medications regularly, I am going to change what I have been doing. And in New Orleans, it means changing history and decades of patterns. It is, I was a baby born in Charity is what you'll hear. Charity Hospital, that's where my mom was born, my mama's mom was born, and that's where I go for care. Well, how do you change that so that people can still associate good care, history, and family with a community health center and not just the hospital? And how do we change that pattern of don't show up at the door when your diabetes is out of control? Show up before. How do we get that embedded in people's process? And I think people will talk, well, how can I help? They'll ask me frequently, how can I help? And I'm like, well, make sure you're insured, your family's insured, your friends are insured. And beyond that, make sure that they're going to the doctor. Make sure that they are taking small steps to lead a healthy life, because it really is so important that we support each other in this. So looking at how are we creatively approaching this forming new relationships and moving the needle forward slowly but surely. And so really that's from my remarks I prepared for today, and I just cannot express how grateful I am for my time at Trinity, which has launched me on the path that I am today, and my ability to make a difference in New Orleans. So thank you. Thank you for your time.
Well, that was quite impressive. And I am so looking forward to see what your next big career success is. All right, so to introduce our Greek Alumni Advisor of the Year, Amy Turlington, we are joined by Laura Cobb, class of 2014.
Good afternoon, everyone. If you haven't bitten into your chocolate cake at this point, please do. So it is a great honor to have the opportunity to introduce Amy Turlington Chambers, class of 1989. Individual, united, active. The three values upon which Zeta Chi was founded. Amy has always been an excellent representation of our values and continues to be to this day. Amy has, as I'm sure Dawn and Georgianne could tell you, been a standout woman since birth. From her infectious laughter to her loyalty to the occasional mischievous glint in her eye, Amy brings warmth and a koozie to any event and relationship. Hey, one in the car, one in your purse. That's how it has to be. So, for many of you in the room who don't know, Amy has been the Zeta Chi Alumni Advisor prior to the installation of Alumni Advisors at the university for our Greek life community. So she's been a uniting force for our organization over the past 10 years, and she's worked to unite not only our organization, but the Trinity University community as a whole. I don't think she's missed an alumni weekend since 1989, maybe a few here or there, but she's always a current representation, physical representation of what we strive to be. She currently serves on the Trinity University Alumni Association Board as the chair of the Fraternities and Sororities Committee, talking with our different alumni on the board about what we can best do to strengthen each organization within our Greek community, but as well as the community as a whole, and what our organizations can contribute to our larger Trinity University community. She served as the reunion chair for her 25th class reunion in 2014 and brought in her light and life to event planning and bringing things to our university. And she continually reminds the women of Zeta Chi and the Trinity Greek community of the power of support and collaboration through her incredible relationship building and effervescent positivity. Like many women in our organization, Amy continues to live out our value of being active in both our organization and our communities. And Amy sure does it well. In addition to serving as Zeta Chi's alumni advisor and member of the Trinity University Alumni Association Board, Amy guides students in her full-time position as an academic program manager at the University of North Texas. She serves on the Housing Corporation for the Gamma Tau chapter of Delta Gamma at TCU and serves as the sustaining advisor of the Rodeo Program Sales Committee for the Junior League of Fort Worth. This year, the women of Zeta Chi, as I'm happy to see many of them in the room with us this afternoon, as well as our wonderful alumni as well, have embraced the theme, Go Where You're Celebrated, inspired by the women who have come before them and the community that they build and seek to build. During my years as an active member of Zeta Chi, both as a member and in leadership positions, Amy continually celebrated me, built me up, was a confidant, a leader, and a representation of a woman that I one day hope to be. And not just for me. She did that for every single member of our organization, as well as each and every one of our alumni that she came into contact with. Today, I am absolutely ecstatic to celebrate this incredible woman and the people who have supported her throughout her life. Congratulations, Amy. Thank you for going where you were celebrated and continuing to celebrate the women of our sorority and the people of this institution. Dr. Anderson, Amy.
So this is a great day, and you've heard earlier all the work that Susan Todd does outside the university building community, but it's individuals like Amy inside the university who also build the community that keep us strong together. So it is a true honor to be here to present to you the 2016-2017 Greek Advisor Award of the Year. If you'll notice, Amy has in front of her an obelisk that will help signify the award, but I really want to spend a few minutes here reading the citation so that everyone can know what it says here. This is to Amy Turlington Chambers, class of 1989, for taking the initiative to rekindle her relationship with the Zeta Chi sorority, for serving as an advisor well before advisors were official and required, for her active and enthusiastic participation in Zeta Chi activities, for serving as a confidant and advocate for the organization and its alumni, for her steadfast adherence to Zeta Chi's founding principles, for the warmth, friendship, and guidance she extends generously to actives, for helping cement the bond between alumni and actives, and for the honor and credit she brings to Zeta Chi sorority and to Trinity. Congratulations.
Thank you to Laura and Danny, and thank you, Laura, for making me cry. Glasses here. It is such an honor to receive an award for doing something that I do out of love for Zeta Chi and Trinity University. 31 years ago, which hurts to say, but when I was deciding where I wanted to go to school, I think I can actually see that without, my dad told me he would pay for me to go to college anywhere but UT. He's an Aggie, so that was out of the question. So I had a friend who was a high school friend, and she was already at Trinity, and so she invited me to come down, and I did. And there was an all-school party that night thrown by the Lancers, and she said, "I'm not going to go, but you can." And it was back in the days of all-school parties, and so I went out and rode the bus to the Lancer party by myself, but it seemed fine. And I saw all these really cute boys. And I was excited because they were smart and they were cute and they didn't hide the fact that they were smart. And so that's where I wanted to go to school. not as lofty, perhaps, as why you wanted to come here. Sorry. However, I did like the fact that there were small class sizes, great dorms, and there weren't TAs teaching the classes. And the campus was small, and I didn't have to take like huge, you didn't have to drive to class and find parking places, so that was great. I'm going to have to put these. I pledged Zeta Chi on February 3rd, 1986, and I'm a member of the 5th pledge class. We were really young. At the time, we were the newest group on campus. Our founders chose the rainbow as our symbol because they believed that each member, just as each color in the rainbow, is beautiful, separate, and unique, and that once brought together, they form a sisterhood which is as unparalleled as the beauty of the rainbow. And they were right. The group of women that I joined didn't look just like me, or have the same life experiences, or religious upbringing, or worldviews as me. We were preppies, me. Hippies, not me. Punk rock girls, rebels, student activists, student leaders and followers. We had practicing Protestants, Catholics, pagans, atheists, and agnostics, and I think at least one Wiccan. In short, Zeta Chi was not the place where you would find someone just like me. It was the place where you would find women who would expand your worldviews, have insanely intelligent conversations with until the sun came up, debate the big issues of the time, and make runs to TCs with in the middle of the night. We were each other's support system, the family we chose for ourselves, sisters. I've had some of the most fun and some of the most heartbreaking times with my sisters. Okay, sorry. There have been parties, late nights at Bays, road trips, spring breaks in Daytona Beach, that one road trip to South Padre just to see Stevie Ray Vaughan on the beach, weddings and more weddings, babies and alumni weekends where we picked right back up as though no time had passed at all. There's been tragedy too. Bad breakups, broken engagements, divorces, miscarriages, infertility, cancer scares and cancer, illness and death. We got great stories out of the good times and grew closer bonds through the bad times. In 2005, the year I became an advisor for the actives of Zeta Chi, I originally started out trying to help the Zeta Chi Alumni Chair get the word out and have a great turnout for her event at Alumni Weekend. It was selfish on my part. I wanted to see sisters from the late 80s, my era. So just so you know, the Zeta Chi's, and you guys will already know this, and any Zeta Chi's in the room, we are not known for RSVPing. We're also not known for showing up for things, but we're really bad about RSVPing for things. So we are better now, but not then. But because we worked together, we had a pretty good showing that year, not from the 80s though. I don't think you even showed up that year, Leslie. But I did have a great time that year getting to know the actives because no one from my year attended. And the actives asked me if they could call me or email me with any issues or questions. And I said yes, gave them my phone number. And I think before I hit the door in Fort Worth, I had a phone call asking some questions. And pretty much the rest is history. Most years have been quiet. Every once in a while, something will come up. A preoperative transsexual wanted to rush us one year. An officer wasn't doing her job a couple of times. Pledging was canceled before everyone had a chance to initiate their members. Personality conflicts, or a tragedy occurs to one of the actives or recent alums. And of course, now there are many more requirements to the position since we created the Trinity Blueprint and laid out what's expected from the alumni advisors. People ask me why I'm still interested in being an advisor after all these years, and I have so many reasons. But one of the biggest reasons is that I have this awesome opportunity to meet and spend 4 years getting to know all of these amazing women who pledge and join every year. I cheer for them, cry for them, am so incredibly proud of them, and I love watching them grow into themselves throughout college and after graduation. I feel privileged to be a part of this journey with my youngest sisters. I celebrate each one of them and their accomplishments. Thank you again to the Trinity University Alumni Association Board and Dr. Anderson for this honor.
Amy, my rainbow sister. I want want to thank each and every one of you for joining us today at this special occasion to recognize two of our Alumni Association's finest. We are proud to claim them as our own and to honor them today. We are also blessed to have such a deep pool of alumni with the qualifications to make them worthy of consideration for these honors. We would like to thank all of you who took the time to submit nominations this year, as well as the Alumni Association Board Committee that had the tough choices in making this year's selections. While the board chooses the honorees, we encourage everyone to continue to provide us with nominations in the coming years and to bring to our attention the exceptional alumni of Trinity University. I hope the students with us today will use the incredible opportunities that a Trinity education can afford you. No matter what colleges Susan and Amy attended, they were destined to do something important with their lives, but a Trinity education prepared them for successes like no other. So congratulations again to Amy and Susan. So this concludes our program this afternoon, and I want to thank you for joining us today. Go vote if you haven't. Safe travels home, and go Tigers.